Fans, your attention, please. It is now time for the NSIC Sportsmanship Tribute by MSU senior Ryan Schlichting.
Sportsmanship for the student athletes of the team. We ask you to choose a new team and respect all of you. Division II student athletes support diverse, inclusive, and committed to fair play, responsibility, and respect. We invite you to play our
You think I can get out there?
Today we'd like to present the American Post 11 for presenting the colors for today's game. Now at this time, in honor of our flag and our country and in recognition of those who serve and protect it, we ask that everyone please rise, remove all headwear, and turn your attention to the stars and stripes as we invite you to sing along with the playing of our national anthem, performed today by the MAVRIK Machine. The MSU Athletic Department extends a special welcome to all MSU students, faculty, and staff, parents, season ticket holders, and all MAVRIK fans to our game today. They hope you'll be joining us for the rest of the MAVRIK games this season.
State, call. Call, please. Heads is a call. It is a head. Now with the front. Where are we kicking?
I was focused on the camera to
You're kicking this way?
see it's still running.
Winona State, one toss. And will receive Yogi kicking. Good luck, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are looking live at Blakesley Stadium here in Mankato, Minnesota. Welcome to another broadcast of Maverick football here on the Maverick Broadcast Network. It's the third annual Harvest Bowl here against Winona State. As Winona State comes in 2-1, the Mavericks come in 3-0. The Mavericks proved to be something of a force to be reckoned with last week as they took a 21-0 lead into halftime and found out that they won 29-3 later on that evening. Winona State comes in after blanking Iowa State, and that is the first shutout this year for Winona State. They're coming off a tough loss as their quarterback, number 18, and someone I have highlighted, Owen Burke. Owen Burke is someone that absolutely needs to get going in that passing game because Minnesota State secondary is the third worst in all the NSIC, allowing over 273 yards per game through the air. So the ground attack, Santiago, he's gonna have to get going, Santiago Lloyd. That's something that he's gotta do. And alongside that, defensive stops. Getting that offense off the field because Schlicky and Nakawa do take care of the ball pretty well. Their accuracy is still something of in question. But that will be solved here this afternoon. As right now kicking for the Mavericks is number 40, Ashton Garner. And boom! We are underway. As Jake Ballou will take it from inside his own 5-yard line. As he'll get up and he'll get to the 25-yard line, so it would have just been like if he fair caught it. And here come the Winona State Warrior offense. And the question here is what cornerbacks is Coach Hoffner and Coach Glogowski going to start with, as they do flip-flop quite often, and it's going to be Tyshawn and Brooks and Jack Curtis. You'll normally get Parrish Morrow in on a couple of them, but Cole Schronemeyer will be back alongside his partner in crime, Cave Johnson. Burke, fake handoff, play action. Looking for his receiver. That's picked right away. Alex Gettle, way to make yourself known. Alex Gettle, right off the bat, something that they wanted to do, and that's part of the game plan, is make sure Winona does not have any part of this. And here come the Mavericks, and it looks like Akawa is going to get that initial nod here, and that's something that's got to be huge for the junior number 7. Nate Gunn, a man of jack of all trades. Handoff, that'll be the tight end as he picks up 6. And on that would be Blake Vermolm, the red shirt freshman, as Vermolm is from Emmitsburg, Iowa. And Vermolm is one of those guys that took the place of Nissen and Tyler Schmidt. Last year, Schmidt played along with Nissen, but you gotta like the red shirt freshman combination in number 85, Tyler Johnson and Blake Vermolm. Here's a pistol formation. The option, handoff to Gunn, as he'll pick up the first down, and it'll be first and goal at the 1-yard line. And this is something that we see quite often, is just going to play the ground and pound game, and that's something you can always expect from the Mavericks, as they're averaging over 313 yards a game just on the ground. And a couple players that I would like to highlight that put in the spotlight for the Warriors are number 11, Michael Gomez, right there in the middle. Hand off to Gunn as he finds his way. Touchdown, number 23. And it's an early 6-0 lead for the gold and purple. And there is a little bit of a scrum there as a flag does come out. As on that interception, one of the offensive linemen actually shoved Tyshawn and Brooks to the ground, and Tyshawn and him kind of had a little bit of a disagreement in words exchanged.
We have two fouls on play after the touchdown. Unsportsmanlike conduct on the offense, number 69. Unsportsmanlike conduct on the defense, number 75. We will have the front.
So here comes Luke Williams as both penalties decide to offset, and it's Chippy to start it here early, as this is everything we expected from both these teams. Last year, Mavericks took it in Winona 31-21, but they came out incredibly slow. And by incredibly slow, I mean it was very, very difficult to watch if you were a Maverick fan in that first half. They got up Winona early, 10-0 in the first quarter. They score on the first play of their first drive of the second quarter. Then they come out and they get absolutely blanked. 21-7 at half. Schlichty comes in, the leader that he is, and actually changes the momentum and the complete turnaround for the Mavericks in that second half. They come out on top and won 31-21. And it was a game where that was strictly taken over by Nate Gunn, as Gunn had 126 and 3 touchdowns, as he's already got himself a touchdown here early. As that scoring play was just 3 rushing attempts for 11 yards. And we're gonna see what Winona State and Owen Burke can do, as back deep for the Warriors is Isaiah Hall and Jake Ballou. Ashton Gardner doing the kicking duties yet again. As that'll be Ballou who take it in front of Hall, as he receives a couple blocks and streams down the sideline. He'll break a couple tackles and receive some help from his partner Hall, as that was a nice run back by Jake Ballou for a total of 35 yards. And tackled by Tyler Johnson, as he is a sophomore and a name that you will hear definitely in the future, as Gettle and Robertson and also Destin Woody will be also departing after this season. Owen Burke. And then Santiago Lloyd. Hand off to Lloyd as he'll bounce it outside, bounce it back up the middle. As that's a nice gain by Lloyd, as he'll gain 8. And he's brought down by Gettle. As Gettle was one of those individuals at home 2 weeks ago against Augustana that actually had himself one heck of a game. Had a couple tackles, a few pass breakups, and a few pressures. That was something they didn't do last time against Augustana. A 4 wide receiver set. Ballou in motion. Burke drops back. It'll be a screen pass to Santiago Lloyd as he's tripped up on the other side of the 50 by number 21, Cade Johnson.
Tackled on the play by number 21, Cade Johnson.
And that's something that I think if you're the Winona State Warriors, if you saw that play work early and the outside run, as the Mavericks only allow opponents 33 rushing yards a game. So trying to find that run game early and slow that defensive four or front seven, as you could say, down as the handoff that goes back to Lloyd. He'll cut back and he'll be tripped up for a gain of 5. As he's tackled by number 52, and that was Jake Shopper. A Shopper, we haven't mentioned his much, but he was our spotlight player again last home game. And he's an actually interesting individual as he runs his own podcast. But this week's spotlight was 2 players, Tyshawn Brooks and Niles Williams. And I'll get to them in just a moment as Owen Burke takes the helm and takes the reins here on this 2nd and 5. He'll drop back, clean pocket, finds his receiver bobbled, and Parrish Morrow with the tackle. But right there with the catch is number 87, and that's Jalen Schlichter. Or excuse me, Schleicher. As Burke is receiving plays from the sideline, and it'll be both of his backup quarterbacks who will be relaying the message. As one of the receivers you got to look out for is number 5, Jake Ballou. Blue's not the tallest individual. He's 5'9", $185, the redshirt junior. But he is definitely their biggest playmaker and an outside threat. Receiver in motion. Burke looking deep as he gets well overthrown as that was thrown outside the end zone. And his intended target was Tyler Anderson. Anderson's more of a deep threat alongside his partner, number 82, Sawyer Molly. And that's something that a key to the game for the defensive side for the Mavericks is shutting down that passing attack, because they're allowing, like I said earlier, over 273 yards. That's the 3rd worst in the NSIC alongside the 14 teams that are in it. First time we've seen Burke under center. Handoff to Santiago Lloyd. He'll bounce it outside, get some initial push, and some nice blocking as he gets 4. As it'll be a switch in the defensive back department and a few linebackers. As Cole Schrodemeyer was there on the tackle, and Brady Tuckner, and it looks like Spencer Hermes alongside Lucas Barrington. As it's 3rd down and 6 on the Minnesota State 26. And that was caught, and as he immediately fell to the ground, that was caught by number 89, Tanner Grand. As Grand will move the sticks as he gets 8. And this is exactly what Winona State wants to do. They're picking apart that secondary and that linebacking core. It was just that first initial pass by Owen Burke that actually cost him, and it was 11-yard score. Game summary, Nate Gunn, 2 rushes, 7 yards for a touchdown. Clock dips under 10. Wide receiver in motion. Looking deep, picked. Owen Burke threw it right in the hands of Kate Johnson as he takes it and is tripped up by number 89, Tanner Grant. And that's the 2nd interception on back-to-back drives by Owen Burke. The Mavericks are back in business. And that's a nice read by there. He baited, Kate Johnson baited Owen Burke to throw that as he was eyeing his intended target, and that was number 82, like I said earlier, Sawyer Molly, who is going down and doing a post route as Ikawa is back in this ball game. Ikawa looking, rolls out, will hit his tight end, and that was tripped up, and that's a nice tackle by number 22, Cole Mockton.
Tackle made by number 22, Cole Mockton.
And on that reception was number 86, Tyler Schmidt, the senior. We haven't seen him much this week as he is more the receiving tight end. And it's kind of nice to see the senior get some action here. 2 tight end formation. Both will shift. Zylstra, keep an eye on him as he gets Isaiah Hall. Handoff to Gunn. Runs into a brick wall and gets nothing. And actually, he'll lose several yards as that first play of 5 yards will be mute, and as it will be a loss of 4. So 3rd down and long. Here comes Taormina, the hands back. Taormina is a guy you'll see go east and west rather than north and south. So that's why he is in this ball game, and they'll bring in Justin Arnold. As it'll be Sample, Arnold, and Zylstra with Taormina in the backfield. Those are the options for Akawa. Akawa drops back, receives some pressure. They're looking for the screen, and that's batted away. And that's batted away by number 59, Joe Peretz. As Peretz did a nice job, and that's a great defensive stance. And the defense said, hey, Owen Burke, we got your back, buddy. And back deep for Winona State. It looks like
37, Riley Ripper for the Mavericks to punt.
number 5, Jake Ballou, and it'll be number 6, Daryl Williams, that are back deep for the Warriors. As it'll be Riley Ripper punting here for the Mavericks. As that is not a very good punt by Ripper, and Winona State will have great field position to start this off. 30 at their own 33-yard line. Here comes Owen Burke as he gets a little tap on the back as he comes out for this 3rd drive. Owen Burke has not done exceptionally well, as last week he actually played exceptionally well. Over 300 yards, his career high 313, and then 3 touchdowns to go along with that. But the prior week, when he played Sioux Falls, not his best performance. His career high 3 interceptions. And that'll be Santiago Lloyd who pick up 3. And that's what I like initially, as the Maverick defensive front is swarming the ball, as it looks like Destin Woody will man this defensive series. As Gettle will get a breather, as he's done exceptionally well so far. As Jack Leas and Robertson are the men to look out for. Here's Burke. Handoff, Lloyd's number is called again. Only gets 1, and he's wrapped up very quick by that redshirt freshman, Nick Dalkey. And that's a name Maverick fans need to get familiar with as well. Dalkey, redshirt freshman, a kid that is very, very genuine, and he's a great kid to be around. And that right there, sir, is a great tackle to set up 3rd down and long. Ballou in motion. He'll find his receiver. That is Tyler Knutson. As Knutson will gain 9 and a 1st down. That'll move the sticks for the men in white. As Tyshawn and Brooks, like I mentioned, was this part of this week's Maverick Spotlight. I sat down with Tyshawn earlier this week, and my goodness, does that man have a great head on his shoulders. Picking up the game, coming from Brooklyn Park, played at Park Center. You know, his freshman year did not start out very well. I'll get to him in a minute. As Santiago Lloyd will pick up 2. Tyshawn came in here as just a strictly cornerback. He played some receiver. He played both ways in high school. But the biggest thing to him, what made him get the love of football, was going out and play with his older cousins. It was kind of like a brother aspect. After Sunday Mass, they'd go out and throw the football around. They'd play for hours, and it was just one of those stories, like you said, it's the competition of a younger man playing with older gentlemen. As here's the jet sweep, as that was sniffed out immediately by number 3, Zach Robertson, as he's dropped for 3, and the rush there as he was looking for Tanner Grant. But Tyshawn was a man that was a lot of knowledge, spoke very, very well and very fluent, spoke very highly of every one of his teammates, and especially of Niles Williams. He especially likes going up against Niles because, one, they're like brothers. But another thing is He is just a man of competition. He loves to compete. He said if you're not here to compete, he doesn't want to go up against you. That's why he likes Niles so much, is because in practice they'll go at it. As Lance is the free rusher, can't get Burke, but Burke will step up and gain a few yards as he's brought down by Dalkey. Great initial pressure from the outside by Jack Leas. He couldn't quite come up with the sack, but that is it. And it's 4th down and 9. Tyshawn and Brooks back deep for the Mavericks. And beside him will be Parrish Morrow. But Tyshawn, one of the things that took his eye, that got my eye in that whole interview, was the way that he said being a two-way player in high school, as Parrish Morrow will get the fair catch inside the 20. It was the competition and the knowledge of his receiving, of him being a receiver, that allowed him to have that next step up on the defensive side. So when he came to college, he knew that there's a certain way for wide receivers to line up, that he knew you only can go a certain routes by the way that they were standing. So then that would allow him to only do certain things. Obviously, he always wants to be physical. He always wants to have that pressure. But it's just one of those things, and he said he'd rather go up against the tall wide receivers. And here's Schlichty as he drops back to pass. Throwing behind him, intended for Sample. But I liked my sit-down talk with Tyshawn, and when Niles Williams gets his number called here, we'll talk more about that young individual and what his number represents to him and means to him and his family. As the number 24 is not a typical wide receiver number, but he enjoys it, and there's a special meaning. Schlichty under center. Here's Gunn. Gunn will break a few tackles, gets loose, and gets up the field into the secondary as he continues to rumble, bumble, and stumble as it's a gain of 13 for Nate Gunn. And that was good initial pressure on the defensive side by Noel Wench, as he had Gunn right there, but Gunn slipped away as he was like a bar of soap. Three wide receivers set, all at the bottom of your screen. Handoff to Gunn, big hole, but met immediately and brought down by number 42, Quentin Reed. And Reed is one of those, they're going to run, Winona State is a 3-4 defense. For those of you that don't know, it's 3 defensive linemen and 4 backers. So another man you're going to have to keep an eye out for is Devon Moore. Devon Moore is one of their leading tacklers and that big name on the defensive side, and he'll be wearing number 1. Another guy I mentioned, Gomez. Defensive end lined up at your bottom of your screen as he'll rush. Schlichty, pocket, scramble out. Schlichty scrambles, directing traffic, looking deep as he's got Arnold wide open. Caught Arnold at the 20 as he's ripped down by number 30, and that is a Maverick first down. Romario Gale, as I don't know how Arnold got that wide open. It was a complete miscue on the defensive side, as if Schlichty wasn't on the run and threw it off his back foot, I think that would have been 6 for the Mavericks. As that was a huge reception for Justin Arnold, as that was a 50-yard reception, Schlichty to Arnold at a big time. Gunn the handoff, bounces outside as he's met immediately and ripped to the ground. And right there in the initial stop is Cam Gavin. And Gavin, that's a great recognition coming from that secondary to come down and meet Gunn after he sees him try to bounce outside from running into that wall. As Gunn will have a breather here, and it'll be a no back set for Schlichty, as it looks like that'll be a 4 tight end set. And this is something that is very unusual to see, as they'll go with height and bulk down here in the red zone. Schlichty and that was overthrown for the intended receiver, Zylstra. As Shane Zylstra is a man who just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing those charts, as he's first in the Maverick history books with 39 touchdown catches, third in receiving yards, and sixth in catches with 158. So far this season, Zylstra has had 12 receptions for 230 yards. He's averaging 19.5 yards, as this will be an encroachment and a free play, and this will be caught as Zylstra catches it at the 5, and it's Isaiah Hall, and it was just a simple mix-up. There was nothing that needed to be said. There was no jawing, nothing. It was a simple mishap. As Sample, and this one's getting John early, as Sample and Hall were going at it, and that was one of the things that Niles Williams mentioned. He goes, from their game tape, you gotta keep your eye out for Isaiah Hall. Likes to be physical, like Tyshawn and Brooks. As it was gonna be encroachment on Gomez, but that'll become mute as it's 3rd down and inches because of the reception by Zylstra. As they're going to hold up play here because, oh, excuse me, it's going to be 4th down now for the Mavericks here. 4th down and inches. I'm pretty sure we all know where this ball is going to go. Handoff, Gunn. He'll pick it up and more. And Gunn will have his 2nd touchdown of the afternoon. Number 23 with his 2nd touchdown as he bull rushes the end zone. And my goodness, as this is getting really out of hand with the jawing. Nate Gunn continues to climb the charts as that's his 2nd rushing touchdown and the 40th of his Minnesota State career. The young man coming out of transferring from South Dakota, a Division I FCS school. And my goodness, what a contribution he's made to this program. As Luke Williams will send that straight through, and it's 14-0 Mavericks with 1:24 to go in the first quarter. The highlight of that drive was the 50-yard reception by none other than Justin Arnold. Arnold from Schlichty, off-balance throw, and he just found his opening and took it. It could have been a way longer reception, but the back-footed throw kind of was underthrown, and he was met immediately as soon as he caught it by his defender. And Owen Burke needs to find something here with this offense. They're being shut down, and Owen Burke has found a little bit of a groove in that 2nd series, you should say. The 1st series, he threw a immediate pick. You know, you can come back from it. Wasn't that bad, but it led to a Maverick touchdown. 2nd one, defense shut him down. Now, for 3, a halt in the Maverick side of the field led to a punt, and Mavericks took it from there. They took it from the 17 all the way to the end zone. They marched 83 yards, and they took a huge chunk of time off the clock. And here's Ashton Gardner doing the duties yet again. Gardner, Hall at the 7. Hall will take it up, looking for some blockers. Runs immediately into Gettle, and Gettle will wrap him up at the 26 and throw him back a yard. As on that play as well was number 31, Zion Bell. As it's 1st and 10. And let's see if Winona State can do something. That offensive line has actually done a whale of a job with that front 4. of Minnesota in yellow. Screen. Here's Ballou. Ballou will take it up as he's met down and dropped down by number 29, Jack Leas. As that's a gain of 9, 2nd and 1. And that's one of the things, like I said earlier, is Ballou. He is a playmaker, and he's not someone who's afraid of contact. And what's different about this Winona State team is their receiving core, to be honest with you. As their receiving core, they'll use about 6, 7, 8 men on that receiving core. Hand out to Santiago Lloyd, looking to pick something up, and I believe he will, and they'll move it. Santiago Lloyd gains just enough by the nose of the football. As this clock will dwindle under 20 seconds as of now, and the play clock will go. Let's see if they will, in fact, run a play before the second quarter starts. As they most likely will here, as the clock goes down to 8. Owen Burke sends his man in motion. Clean pocket for Burke, steps up. He'll dump it off to his receiver, and he's tripped up by Jack Leas. Leas making his name well known, as that's Gran right there. Tanner Gran will end this first quarter with a 1-yard reception, 2nd and 9. And it's the end of the first quarter here at the Blake. You are watching Mavericks football here on the Maverick Broadcasting Network. We'll be right back after these messages.
Thank you to the Minnesota State Foundation for providing our Gatling gun. And be sure to check out the agriculture displays from our harvest farm partners.
Welcome back to the start of the second quarter as teams flip sides. Here's Owen Burke as he's going south instead of north. Burke directing some traffic here as he'll find his crossing route, and that was Gran. As Gran, for the second consecutive play, will make the reception. And if those of you are just joining us, it is 14-0 Minnesota State over the 2-1 visiting Winona Warriors. As Winona State looked like they were going to get the ball to start, which they did. Looked like they were going to make something of it. Owen Burke, first play, throws a pick. 11-yard drive. That turned into a Nate Garn 1-yard run touchdown. Then, on the next 4th and 1, they decided to go for it on their own 6. Nate Gunn, 6-yard touchdown run. Gunn has having himself one whale of a game as Knutson finds some separation, and he does keep his feet in bounds. As some of them are looking for pass interference, maybe offensively, but I think he just got great separation from Curtis, as that's the Prior Lake native Tyler Knutson. That'll move the sticks. But like I said, the Mavericks find themselves up 14-0 and blanking Winona State in that first half. As first downs favor Winona, as they have 6 so far. As the intended receiver was number 81, that'd be Connor Schultz. As a complete different secondary will come here, and that's one of the things the Mavericks like to do. They love fresh legs, they love giving their guys breath, and that's what makes them so lethal, is that depth, like I talk in game in and game out. I talk about it every single time. It's something that is very, very different that you see from any other program. As Owen Burke receives pressure, and he's sacked. As he's met in the backfield by number 9, Nick Foss. Redshirt freshman making a name. Nick Foss seeing some playing time here as he makes the most of it, as that was a huge loss, a loss of 10. 3rd down and a country mile. They will have 20 yards and more to get that 1st down as Ballou goes in motion. Santiago Lloyd the back. Burke will drop back, sees pressure, steps up in the pocket, hit as he throws. And Leas almost with the pick. But Leas with the knockdown and the pass deflection, pass breakup, whatever you may call it. 4th down here as Owen Burke still has not found his groove. Tyshawn and Brooks back deep.
Number 9, Paul Ortiz, will punt for the Warriors.
As Paul Ortiz will do the punting duties for Winona. And this is the 2nd time we've seen Ortiz, as his first one went only 36 yards. As that was almost blocked by Robertson. Excuse me, not Robertson, that was Tyler Johnson, excuse me. As Tyshawn will let that roll inside the 10, and they will down it at the 7. As it looks like Akawa, and it looks like Schlichty might only get 1 drive here, which is pretty unusual. As Akawa, I think they only went back out with him out there was because he only got 3 plays, so they wanted to see what he could do. Which, to me, makes perfect sense, and that is completely and utterly fine. As it looks like coach or offensive coordinator Joe Bashorner has confidence in number 7, and he's back out there. Handoff to Gunn, right side, will try to bounce it back. And he'll lose a yard on that play, 2nd and 11. And Gunn has had actually kind of a rough time running it up the middle, as the offensive line for the Mavericks have had trouble getting that initial push. As you normally see them having their way with that defensive front, but for some odd reason here this afternoon in this 1st half, they've struggled with that push. Handoff to Blake Vermolm. As Vermolm will get nowhere, as it looks like they might have to throw with their backs sniffing at the goal line. I mean, you got to do something to give Riley Ripper some room to actually get a punt off, as Ripper's first punt only went 32 yards. As Akawa's in the gun, 4 wide receivers set. Akawa drops back to pass, receives some pressure, steps up, finds Zylstra. As that was a big time throw, as Akawa comes up shaking his hands as he receives some pressure, but finds Zylstra, and that was a gain of 18 yards, and that'll move the sticks.
18-yard gain on the play. That's good for Jack Links.
And that 1st down was presented by Jack Links, as they are one of the sponsors for Maverick Athletics. Vermolm and Schmidt. Akawa back to pass. Looking, receiving time, finds Zylstra, but there's a flag on the play, as it would have been a gain of 21 yards. But it looks like this will be coming back, as it'll be a holding call, or maybe hands to the face. And that is on Winona.
personal foul to the face.
As it will be declined, and that'll be another catch for Zylstra, as he's had himself 39 yards on 2 plays. Akawa stepping up, and this is not something we're used to seeing, is him throwing the ball. And I kind of like what I've seen from number 7 here early on, as he's found himself a little bit of a groove here. Arnold in motion. They typically go to him on the jet sweep. Design quarterback keeper. And they sniffed that one out from the word go. Loss of 3. Akawa dropped back. Nothing there. 2nd and 13. And that was a nice tackle there by number 93, Colin Clapp.
Loss of 3 on the play, 2nd down.
Handoff to Gunn. He'll bounce up. As he breaks it, he's slippery. As he breaks a few tackles, but is finally brought down at the 46, it looks like is what they're going to mark him, but he was tackled by number 22, Cade Monacton. As Monacton has had a couple tackles here early in this ball game in this first half, but the run game has, for Minnesota State, has been shut down. Winona State is doing a tremendous job in the running game, and they're looking at Schlichty and Akawa saying, you're going to beat us through the air and not on the ground. As it looks like it's supposed to be a little dump off to Taramina, as Devon Moore was going to be all over that, and that was fallen incomplete as it was thrown to the ground. As that will halt the Maverick offense as Akawa comes off in frustration. As this game was everything we thought it would be, we weren't expecting any blowouts by either side, but we expected it to be a close one. As it looks like Winona State will be almost preparing to see if there was going to be a trick play, as Riley Ripper will, it looks like it won't be another boomer by number 37, but he gets it inside the 25-yard line. They will have to march 78 yards, the Winona State offense will, to come up with some type of score. Whether it's a touchdown, whether it's a field goal, something to get them going, and Owen Burke needs to take a deep breath, calm down, relax, and find his depth and deep receiving core that he's got on the outside. And Santiago Lloyd has had himself one heck of an afternoon as well, as he finds himself early. Santiago Lloyd, handoff, big open hole, created by the big fellas up front in white as he gains 8.
Tackle made by number 21, Kate Johnson, and number 20, Cole Schroedermeyer. 8-yard gain on the play, 2nd down.
As Schroedermeyer was in on that tackle, as Schroedermeyer's a great run defender from that safety position. Handoff to Santiago Lloyd as he's wrecked down by Robertson. Alongside him, that was number 1, Parrish Morrow, as it's 3rd down and 1. And you look at the rushing yards here, Minnesota State has, this is, to me, is astonishing. Only 33 rushing yards here in this first half. Only 33. They're averaging over 313 a game. That is something that is of grave concern, as Winona State's got 24 on the ground, as he will pick up some big boy heavy yards, will Santiago Lloyd, and that's a 2-yard gain and a fresh set of downs. The clock will dwindle under 7:30 here to go in the first half.
Gaining 3 on the play, first down.
Burke steps up in the pocket, looking for his receiver. And that was nice coverage there by Jack Lance to recover early. His intended receiver was Connor Schultz. As he did have Knutson down here in the flat, even though he was covered by Curtis. But he had him. I think if you would have thrown up in that jump ball 50-50, I think Knutson was going to come down with that one over Jack Curtis. Burke will go under center. Handoff to Santiago Lloyd, bounce it outside. Met by by yellow jerseys. As that'll be Tyshawn and Brooks coming over from the other side to stop 23. And it's third down in a matter of inches. And I think that's about 6-7 inches to go. This will be a huge third down stop for the Mavericks if they want to get that ball back and make sure that this game is out of reach for the Warriors. Burke fake the pass, hand off to Santiago Lloyd. They got him. They'll give it to him.
Santiago Lloyd on the carry for the Warriors. Tackle made by number 91, Josh Kaluski.
As Josh Kaluski was in on that tackle, and alongside him was number 94, and that was Dawson Dorst. Excuse me, is that 96? Excuse me, that was Garrett Jansen on the tackle, excuse me. As Burke looking deep, as that was Connor Schultz, and there was some little bit of hand fighting there, but that was great defensive pressure by Tyshawn and Brooks deep. As Connor Schultz had Tyshawn and Brooks on the inside, Burke threw it well, but just a little out of reach. Burke back up to the line. Handoff. And that is number 33, Landon Jacobson. As this is the first time we'll call his name here on this young afternoon. As he gains 1 as it's third down and long. As the crowd, especially in the parent section or family section, whatever you want to call it, is on their feet and trying to cheer this Maverick defense to a stop. Winona State crowd pretty silent. Looking, found his receiver Burke, and that was Tanner Grand as he got push and some help. As they will definitely give it to him, as my goodness, as Ballou and number 80 Ethan Wittenberg had a lot to do with Grand getting that first down. They pushed him about 4 or 5 yards to get that first down as they realized he was back. As Hoffner is screaming something to the head referee. As Winona State will take their first timeout, and Hoffner is in absolute engulfed with rage right now at the referee. As that was a big first down to continue this drive for Winona State, as there's only 4:34 left in this first half for them to try to get a little twinkle in their eye and actually have the Maverick defense back on their heels. Nothing has come about it, but I like the way this Maverick defensive backs have played in this one. It's actually quite spectacular the way they played here so far this afternoon. They're shutting them down through the air as they've only allowed 56 passing yards on 8 receptions. And that's a pretty good statistic and something that we actually love to see here, and they're playing their hearts out right now. Take a look at some statistics for Winona. Owen Burke, 8 for 15 with 2 picks, but 56 yards and sacked once. As Robertson, Johnson, and Leas. This will be Santiago Lloyd. Bounces it outside. Breaks Tyshawn Brooks' tackle. Shoved out of bounds by Cade Johnson. As he's about a yard and a half shy. As Coach Glogowski's defense is kind of struggling here right now on this drive to come up with a stop. This is probably the longest drive this defense has faced so far this season. It's going 4 minutes. Hand off to Santiago Lloyd. He'll pick up the first down and more. Just shy of the 30, they'll mark him down, and that'll move the chains. Santiago Lloyd doing the most, that young man. As Knutson's got 2 receptions for 21 yards. Grant, 3 for 10. Santiago, 48 yards on the ground. More than Nate Gunn. Something that is a storyline as this pressures the pocket sort of collapses. Burke looking for Lloyd, covered by Robertson. Nothing there. The pressure by Jansen, and it looked like he was by number 91, Josh Kaluski, as it was a holding penalty that'll set him back 10 yards. That play proves to be mute. Now it's 1st and 20 here for the Warriors. And they'll get the clock. Excuse me, the play clock back running. The game clock will be held until the snap. Blue, your lone receiver down at the bottom of your screen. Alongside him on the other side, Dakota Matthias. Santiago Lloyd with the handoff. He'll jump over a pile as he's met by Shopper. And Cade Johnson with combined on the tackle, as Shopper is making his name here, and so is Cade Johnson. I love to see the physicalness from number 21. The physical prowess that 21 brings. He's a heavy hitter. He does his job, and he does it well by keeping his mouth shut and leading by example. He's a man on that defense that even the older guys look up to by the way he carries himself. As looking for, that will be number 2. That's Tyler Anderson, as he'll pick up 9. As Tyshawn Brooks was there on the tackle, and Tyshawn has had himself quite the afternoon as he's got 3 as he's tied for the lead. Everyone on this defense basically has a tackle that is played. It's quite astounding, as it looks like 20 different men on the defensive side have at least 1 tackle for the Mavericks. Burt, first down, Warriors. Finding Knutson for a gain of 10. That's Knutson's 3rd reception of this afternoon. Tyshawn Brooks with the force out. And this drive is just an absolute wear and tear. on the Mavericks defense as this defensive change is Santiago Lloyd will bounce to the outside. Great tackle by number 3, Zach Robertson. Clock under 2 minutes to go. Winona State's got the ball. Minnesota State up 14-0. As this second quarter has flown by, but it's been basically in the hands of Winona State the majority of this second quarter. As their third down efficiency has been one of this, as they did go 21 yards to pick up that last first down, as Ballou wrapped up by Schroedermeyer, as he'll lose a few. But, like I said, the third down efficiency is the story of this game. In the time of possession, Winona State is over 11 minutes of possession in that first quarter, and the second quarter just a tad. But this drive alone started with just about 8 minutes left, as there's 45 seconds left on the clock. They still have 2 timeouts. Burke looking, pressure by Shopper, finding Lloyd, nothing. It'll be 4th down and 13 for the Warriors, and it looks like Coach Sawyer might go with the field goal unit here, as it will be a 41-yard try for Mr. Ortiz. He'll be on the right hash going south. Wind will be going from left to right. A little bit not in his favor, and it looks like Coach Hoffner will take that first time out and ice Ortiz with 35 seconds left. This has been a well-played first half by both sides, and the quarterback play has surprised me the most. Ikawa having some luck in the passing game, and then Burke starting off very slow, 2 picks in the first quarter, but has came back strong as he finds himself with a bunch of yards here, as their receiving yards have gone up immensely. As we take a look here, the first downs are definitely in favor of Winona State here thus far. Ortiz coming out of the timeout. 41-yarder. Snap, spot, kick, up, and it is good. 14-3 as Ortiz will put the Warriors on the board. And this is a tight one. 14-3 at half. Everything, the anticipation of this ball game, and that was one thing, the competition-wise, that I took out of the interview with Ty Shannon and Niles Williams. They said, I asked them, as a fan, you see the rankings, you see Minnesota State's ranked 3rd. They don't like looking at that. Coach Hoffner, Coach Glagowski, and others on that side, just in general, don't like their players looking at those. They just want them to go out there and play like it's the championship every single game. They cannot be looking at the standings. They just want home field advantage throughout the playoffs and a chance to go for that national championship. It's not necessarily a championship or bust, because if you get to the playoffs and deep like they did last season in that semifinal loss to Ferris State, they say they're going to take it as a win. As 30 seconds are left here in this second quarter. As Ortiz kicks it deep. That'll be Taramina receiving it at the 7. Taramina finding some block, getting some blocking. Taramina down the sidelines. He's off to the races. Taramina cut back inside. Taramina inside the 30 of Winona State. Justin Taramina, welcome back, And just what the doctor ordered for the man in gold. As J.D. Akawa comes back onto the field of play.
58 yards on the kickoff.
As this will definitely be a passing situation as 17 seconds left with 2 timeouts for the Mavericks. You definitely have some time to work with, but it looks like
Penalty marker down.
penalty marker, and this will be a false start on the offense.
First down.
As that was on the center, Jack Russell. As Russell got called with the false start on the snap infraction. Akawa drops back to pass. Blitz is picked up. Clean pocket, looking for Zylstra. Flag on the play. Just overshot Shane Zylstra in the end zone, and that could have been a huge momentum shifter as Winona State had a little bit momentum, but it looks like it's going to be holding on the defense and an automatic first down. Excuse me, that's a 10-yard penalty. And it's an automatic first down. That'll just inch them closer to the end zone. And I think you got time for one more shot at the end zone before you bring in number 26. Here's Akawa, 2 wide receivers left, 2 right. Drops back, steps up in the pocket, he'll scramble. Akawa making sure, look in the end zone, and he'll just throw that one away. Intended for number 14, Parker Glutemans, as he realized he only had about 4 seconds left on the clock to do something with. And he'd rather get points on the board, as it may look like Ashton Gardner, instead of Luke Williams, will be doing the kicking duties here, as it'll be a 38-yard field goal for number 40. 39, excuse me.
39-yard attempt.
Arnold the holder. Gardner, kick, up, and it is good. Mavericks going to halftime with a 17-3 lead. It is halftime here at the Blake. The 3-0 Mavericks find themselves on top of the 2-1 Winona State Warriors, 17-3. It's halftime here at the Blake, and we'll be right back after this.
Your summer love thawed me out, melted all the fears I had and all the doubt. Now we have the wildest dreams. There's nobody I'd rather have to stand by me. You shine on, you shine on, you shine on, you shine on me. Your summer love thawed me out, melted all the fears I had and all the doubt. Now we have the wildest dreams. There's nobody I'd rather have to stand by me. You shine on, you shine on, you shine on, you shine on me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for the start of this second half. Winona State won the toss. They elected to receive. They took the Bill Belichick playbook and decided to do it that way. And right now they find themselves down 14, 17-3 to get this underway. Paul Ortiz will do the kicking duties. Back deep is Justin Taramina. And right before the half, Taramina had an explosive run to get the Mavericks into scoring territory and led to that field goal by Ashton Gardner of 39 yards. And Ortiz will boom it away in the corner, and Taramina will let that drop in the end zone for a touchback. And it is number 5, Ryan Schlichty. We only saw him once in that first half. As Schlichty is 2 for 4 with 58 yards, the biggest one coming with the connection of Justin Arnold for 50 yards. Otherwise, Ikawa, 3 for 6, 44 yards. Longest is 21. Shane Zylstra has got 3 catches for 47 yards. Nate Gunn, on the other hand, has been completely shut down as he's had 9 carries for 30 yards. Hand off to Gunn, trying to get him going, as Gunn will rush for 5. And taking a look at that first half, the defensive side for Winona, and it's that defensive core, as it is number 22, Cole Monacton, as he's had himself in leading that defense in tackles. Here's Gunn. Gunn will pick up the first down, and Gunn is trying to find something, as the offensive line for Minnesota State, their pass blocking was excellent. Their run blocking, not so much, as it was a bit of a struggle to get that push and to find something for the Mavericks in that run game right up the middle. And as there's a gaping hole, as Gunn cuts back and forth like a windshield wiper. As it's another gain, as that's a gain of 11 for Gunn, as he continues to see his totals climb. That's a Maverick first down, as it's the end around to Justin Arnold. He'll bounce outside. Hall playing some good defense, but Arnold was tackled by number 20, Cam Gavin. Gavin coming from the safety position to make that tackle on Arnold. As now it's Glutemans and Zylstra, the lone receivers at the top of your screen, inside Winona State territory. As that was a first down by Arnold. Gunn will pick up a couple, maybe one. As there's a lot of pushing and shoving, as Isaiah Hall ends up on his backside after the whistle, but there was no flag. As Devon Moore gets himself a little bit of notification here with the hometown crowd. As on the side, Devon Moore has had 4 tackles and 9 so far for a loss, as there's only been 2 plays of that nature. Schlichty receives some pressure, as that's going to be a low hit possibly, or possibly a holding on Tyler Schmidt. As it looked like number 59, that is Joe Perhats, had it beat. Actually, that was Cole Monacton. As Cole Monacton had the edge on Tyler Schmidt. Tyler Schmidt ended up throwing him to the ground as he had the pressure, and that allowed Schlichty to get that pass off, as Monacton was breathing down Schlichty's neck. And that's the pressure that we've seen all afternoon, making it an uncomfortable pocket. somewhat clean, but Schlichty and Ikawa have not been able to get the ball out quick enough. They've been hanging on to it for more than 4 seconds. Handoff to Gunn up the middle. As he gets maybe 2 back. As that right there, who met him was Nick Pridgeon. As Pridgeon is another one of their guys that is on the up and coming and is their big tackler, as we haven't mentioned his name so far here early on. As it's a 3 wide receiver set. That's Zylstra, excuse me, the lone receiver on the bottom of your screen. Schlichty rolls out, looking deep for Sample. As Sample catches it, but they'll say he's out of bounds. As that was a nice effort there by Jalen Sample, and that'll be a 4th down. And here comes Riley Ripper. As Riley Ripper in the first half, punting was a little bit of a struggle. His longest was 32, and the lowest was 31. Let's see if you can get a better one up as Jake Ballou is back deep. And there's a better one from Ripper, as that'll land on the 20 and take a ride as Ballou will catch it and down it at the 12. As Jordan Berggren technically gets the down for that. And here comes Owen Burke. Owen Burke in the first half. His stats won't jump out at you very much, but he's got a 60% completion percentage. 79 yards, 12 for 20, and 2 picks. And those 2 picks, one of them only came up costly, as it led to a Nate Gunn 1-yard touchdown run. Santiago Lloyd, Leis, Robertson, and even a push from Cade Johnson. 2nd and 10. Santiago Lloyd is another man that has had a surprise in this game. Is 17 attempts, 65 yards. Santiago Lloyd has almost doubled in this ballgame yards from what the Mavericks actually give up. Burke fake screen to Ballou. As will be the handoff to Santiago Lloyd. As that was Robertson in on the stop along with Badal Nama. As that push, and Robertson is having himself one heck of a series here to start the second half. As Cade Johnson is looking for some energy from this crowd. As this will be a huge 3rd down conversion, as Berggren had the initial pressure and they were looking for the screen to Santiago Lloyd. As it's clearly Santiago Lloyd and Burke were not on the same page. Ty Shannon Brooks back deep. And here's Paul Ortiz. Ortiz in the first half had 2 punts, longest was 50. And that was the one that Ty Shannon Brooks let go, and that was down at the 7. Ortiz will do the rugby style punting, and that seemed to work. Ty Shannon Brooks receives it at his 35, cuts upfield, goes to the far sideline as a flag is thrown, as he's brought down just inside the 50, inside Winona State territory. But hold your horses here, as it might be a holding or illegal block in the back on Minnesota State. As that was on Cheyenne Bradford, the senior, gets a block in the back, and that negates as he's getting some instruction from his coach on the sideline. as Glogowski is trying to get his defense and is praising his defense for that 3 and out, and a big 3 and out, if I may add, to start this second half. Ikawa and company. Ikawa, design QB run, gets a block from Gunn and his offensive line. Ikawa keeps chugging along. Ikawa just shy of the 45 of his own 45, and that is a Maverick first down. Mankato looking for a holding penalty, complaining to the field judge, but he's getting nothing.
Another Maverick, Jack Lake's jerky.
Ikawa under center. Gunn, handoff, nowhere to run, wrapped up, loss of 1. Gomez, and that's Pridgeon. Alongside him is number 93, Colin Clapp. As there were 3 guys sniffing that one out, as it was Pridgeon who had the initial stop.
1 yard loss on the play, second down.
And Gunn just trying to figure out his ways, trying to figure out what's going to work in that one hole. And as soon as you get that young man going, there is no stopping him. At 6'2", 220, he is a load. Ikawa drops back to pass, finds Gunn. Gunn wrapped up, still gunning for some yards, no pun intended, as he's gonna have to come out as his helmet comes off. And Taramita will come in, as this might be a perfect opportunity, as Gunn was receiving some jawing from the Winona State sideline. It might have been Coach Sawyer, as it was 6 yards on that catch and run. 3rd down and 5. Ikawa in the shotgun, drops back, looking around, looking for Zylstra, and that was well behind number 84. Ikawa immediately looks down to the ground as he'll jog off, and here comes Mr. Ripper. And as usual, Ballou will be back to receive the punt.
Ripper on the punt for the Mavericks, back to receive the punt for the Warriors. Number 5, Jake Ballou.
As Ripper was a low line punt, and Tyshawn Brooks will down it at the 22. This has not been Ripper's afternoon for punting duties, as he's kind of struggled a little bit to even get it past 40 yards. That last one he got over 40, but it was a little bit of help from the bounce.
First down and 10 for the Warriors at the 22-yard line.
As this might be arguably Owen Burke's worst game so far. Owen Burke drops back to pass, looking for Knutson. Knutson will corral that at the 28.
Pass complete to Tyler Knutson.
And that was Tyshawn Brooks on the coverage. As Knutson has done himself one heck of a service here, as he's finding his way open, and he's proven to be a top receiver and a top threat for years to come down in Winona. As the high snap handoff to Santiago Lloyd, as he gets 1 yard. Santiago Lloyd just doubled, and he did a lot just like last week, as Santiago Lloyd had over 90 yards rushing. As it's 3rd down and 4. Winona on their own 28. Burke drop back, looking left, in traffic. Throws a BB right into the chest of number 2, Tyler Anderson, and that'll move the sticks. The first down of this second half for Winona. Tackled by Cole Schroedermeyer. Schroedermeyer finding his way too. Schroedermeyer is another man that will find himself at the top of the leaderboard every single week in tackles. Tight end in motion. Burke back to pass, looking, and threads the needle. As that was a nice catch by Tyler Knutson in traffic. As that went right through the hands of Alex Gettle, as he just didn't close his hands in time. Clock dwindles under 7 minutes in the third quarter.
15-yard gain on the pass play, first down.
As that's 15-yard catch by Tyler Knutson. Knutson again coming up and coming something. Lloyd up the middle. Robertson, Badal, Gettle will contribute on bringing him down to the turf.
Tackle made by number 3, Zach Robertson. And number 49, Alex Gettle. 6-yard gain, second down.
As that's a 6-yard gain, and that's over the average, and something of Santiago Lloyd becoming common. Hand off. 23 gets his number called again. Both 23s are being held at bay for the most part. Santiago Lloyd is slow to get up. As it was a darn near a complete defensive change. As in fact it was. The only person that didn't come off, or the two people that didn't come off, was Curtis and Tyshawn Brooks. 3rd and 2. As Jacobson, the tailback. Burke, hand out to Jacobson. He's got some room. Jacobson down the sideline. And that is a first down inside the red zone. Landon Jacobson gallops for a huge gain as he's pushed out by number 28, Burrington.
Yard gain on the play, first down.
As that was a 28-yard rush by Landon Jacobson, and Winona State's knocking on the door, and they can sniff that goal line. Burke drops back, receiving pressure, steps up, rolls out to his right, getting chased and getting knocked down by Tyshawn Brooks. Laius the first to greet him with a congratulations. And that's a nice gain there for Owen Burke to make it a little bit more manageable as they're on their own 9-yard line. Excuse me, the opponent 9-yard line. As that was a 4-yard rush by Burke. That's the first time we've seen him move his legs. As Santiago Lloyd is in the backfield. Knutson and Schultz, the wide receivers. Santiago Lloyd cuts it back up in. Still turning those legs as it'll be a first down and goal. As he's brought down, it looks like the 2-yard line. And here is another big time-consuming play, or excuse me, drive for Winona State. They're keeping Minnesota State's defense out there, as earlier in that second quarter, they had a drive of 8+ minutes that the Minnesota State defense was out there. As a photographer was too close to the field, and Sawyer was barking orders. As they are complaining to the referee about the play because they looked like they did have something going. And I'd like to keep out for the possible fade. Sawyer! But that was Santiago Lloyd.
Sam Santiago on the carry. Steps down by the Mavericks, number 29.
His Leas was in on that tackle.
No gain on the play.
And Jack Leas coming up big, as that was a loss of a yard on the play, as Jack Leas finds himself with 6 tackles. Robertson and Cade Johnson, Schroedermeyer and Leas, the top tacklers here this afternoon. Fake handoff, play action. And there, down goes Burke. None other than number 29, Jack Leas. And that'll push them back even further, as it'll be 3rd down and 11. But it's 3rd and goal. As the band is trying to be a factor and make it loud and hard to communicate for Winona State. Fans, the bench of Minnesota State trying to contribute. As several Minnesota State fans find themselves up on their own 2 feet. Burke drop backs the pass, gets flushed out, directing traffic downfield, just out of reach of his intended receiver, Ballou. As Kaluski was on the initial pressure. As that sack for Minnesota State was only their 2nd, but the first for Leas here this evening. Hoffner turning around, looking for the crowd to get into it. Paul Ortiz, a 27-yard chip shot. Almost blocked, but it is good. Paul Ortiz puts another 3 on the board for Winona. The new score reads Minnesota State 17, Winona State 6. With 1:32, that was another time-consuming drive for Winona State. As this game has been chippy, and this is everything it has been anticipated it would be. Chippy, hard fought on the gridiron, nothing better.
Cato Insurance Agency is a proud partner of Maverick Athletics. Cato Insurance is locally owned, independent agency that has been serving the commercial and personal insurance needs of the greater Mankato area since 1983. Give Cato Insurance a call today. Summary for Winona State, 13 plays, 67 yards, in 7 minutes and 12 seconds. A 28-yard field goal by Paul Ortiz is good. Minnesota State 17, Winona State 6.
As Paul Ortiz
Will kick it off.
will kick it off.
Back deep for the Mavericks.
Is this the 3rd time we will see the Warriors line up? As we're waiting for the officials. Ortiz gives the signal. The jog and the kick. Taramina back deep, as he'll let this one go. As Ortiz has got himself quite the leg, as that's his 2nd consecutive touchback. And I think that first one, after that first field goal, they just wanted to see what it was going to be like having Taramina, and I think that they're afraid to have number 6 have the ball in his hands again. And it will be J.D. Ikawa coming back out. As that last drive for Winona, that's their 2nd drive. They took a lot of time off the clock. And it looks like the Minnesota State defense is somewhat gassed. Ikawa looking for Zylstra. Zylstra making some plays with his feet. as they might give it to him. I'm not entirely sure. They will. That's a first down, a gain of 10 for number 84.
10-yard gain on the play, and that's good for another Maverick. Jack Journey.
And that's Zylstra's 5th catch here this afternoon. Gunn with the handoff, as he'll gain maybe half a yard at most.
Tackled by Michael Gomez. 1-yard gain, second down.
As Michael Gomez with the stop there. As Mavericks get to the line with 40 seconds to go in the third quarter. Here's Akawa. Handoff to Gunn, as he was just making sure he hang on to that football, as he gains maybe half a yard, not even. Back to the line of scrimmage. 3rd down and 9. A big 3rd down here for the Mavericks to convert. 3rd down conversions in the first half for the Mavericks. They were 1 for 4, and they've been shut down, as they will let this one wind down to the 4th quarter, as the 4 on the hands of the sidelines of the Mavericks go up. We'll be right back. This is your home for Maverick Sports.
Fans, Dr. Pepper and Hot 96.7 would like to congratulate Alicia Grosscloss as today's $500 scholarship winner. Thank you to Dr. Pepper and Hot 96.7 for providing educational opportunities for students. Maverick fans, now it's time to get on your feet. The Mavericks 3 teams. Maverick T-shirt City.
And welcome back to the start of the 4th quarter. Minnesota State finds themselves up 11, 17-6 over Winona State. Akawa, 3rd down and 9, as Devon Moore puts a lick, but a nice catch. Justin Taramina at the 40 for Winona State. Akawa hung in there, and that's the presence I've seen from Akawa this afternoon. He looks like a different pocket presence, and this is why he's played the majority of the game. Akawa stepping up, making a big-time throw, finding his receiver, Justin Taramina. Taramina hasn't started or played much, but when he's out there, he's a difference maker. Handoff to 23 up the middle. That's Nate Gunn, as he's tripped up by number 43, David Smith. As that was a rush of 9. Gunn still trying to turn his legs and find something and break a 100-yard mark yet again. But this will be an official timeout here, as we do not know why play is stopped here. There is being some discussion between the referee and it looks like the left guard, Hunter Topple. As Akawa was giving last-minute direction to his offensive line. So was Nate Gunn. Handoff to Gunn. Doing a lot more work than he should have to. Gunn ends up making something out of nothing.
Nate Gunn on the carry for the Mavericks. Tackled by number 7, Nick Pridgeon.
As Pridgeon was there on the tackle.
2-yard gain on the play.
And alongside of him was Romario Gale. Taramina the back. His number gets called for his first rush, as Taramina will fall forward for 3. Devon Moore.
Tackle on the play by number 43, David Smith.
And David Smith. It looks like right now they're just going to play the ground game. Minnesota State will, just to keep this clock ticking. An incompletion stops the clock, as a lot of you may know. But it's that important thing to waste time and to make sure that defense for Minnesota State, who's been out there the majority of the time, which does not happen very often. Akawa with the QB keeper. Devon Moore, the first to meet him, but he won't come up with the tackle. As he gets back to the line of scrimmage, as Gomez and Romario Gale and Quentin Reed were there on the tackle. As it's 3rd down and 8, and Akawa might have to step up and make a huge play. And if you're Winona State and you come up with a stop here, Minnesota State is in, they are in 4th down territory, I would say. Because they don't have Casey Benarski with the absolute boot. As the initial pressure, Akawa steps up, finds Zilstra downfield in traffic. Zilstra bounces off a would-be tackler and finds himself inside the 5. As there's a flag on the play, as he was tackled by Romario Gale.
Flag on the play.
Is that's an unsportsmanlike conduct from the senior Shane Zilstra. As that will take it back. It's still a 1st down because it was after the play. As he shoved Romario Gale back down to the grass. And that'll set him back. It'll be 1st and 10 instead of the 5. It'll be at the 20. Schmidt in motion. Hand off to Gunn. Gunn up the middle. Will gain 4. Tripped up by Gomez. And that was a nice play there by Gomez, shedding his block and tripping up Gunn. And they're going to go hurry up offense here, as Akawa is just going to lead this one and continue to catch Winona State off guard. Same play. Gunn handoff. Bounces outside. Inside the 10. Gunn. Brought down inside the 5. Brought down by number 20, Cam Gavin. And Gavin having himself an afternoon as well. Cam Gavin coming in here with some pass deflections. And Mr. Gavin finds himself at the top of the tackle board. As it'll be 1st down and goal, false start.
Flag on the play.
Hoffner not pleased. As that's on the senior, number 86, Tyler Schmidt. And the penalties here are starting to fly, as the referees, I think, are going to try to take control of this game. We've already had 3 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, but 2 of them were offset because they're on one play. As the first one went against number 69, Evan Heim, the senior. But this last one was Shane Zilstra, and that's his first. Gunn, handoff. And he'll gain 4.
Big Gunn on the carry for the Mavericks.
As it'll be 2nd down and 5. Technically 2nd and goal, whatever you prefer. As this push for the offensive line on the Mavericks side has been a lot better in the running game, as the clock continues to tick down. Hand off the gun, up the middle. As he's brought down
Number 23, gun on the carry.
by number 52, Noel Wench. And it will be
52, Noel Winch.
as Noel Wench was in, as it looks like the freshman tight end Tanner Johnson will come out, and in his place will be number 10, Jalen Sample. I'm going to highlight here right now. You got two options, two big receivers. The 6'4" Shane Zilstra at the top of your screen, and the 6'5" Jalen Sample. As there is another false start. Oh. And that's the first timeout taken this half by either team. As that was a close call for a possible delay of game. As Coach Lugowski calls his Mavericks on the sideline over as he's going to have a chat with them. And I'm pretty sure that chat is, you know how much time's left on the clock, you know your defensive responsibilities, and you know what you got to do. Come up with that stop, and you'll find something. As this timeout is taking a little bit longer than expected. As we're looking to get the action back underway here at the Blake. You take a look here at the defensive side. The tackle for loss have only been by two individuals. That would be Hall and Pridgeon on the side of Winona. As it turns out, there's been 5, 2 by Robertson, and 2 by Leas, including that sack, and then the sack by Foss. Mavericks find themselves with 3 players at the top of that list, tied with 7 tackles: Robertson, Johnson, and Leas. Right behind him is Cole Schroedermeyer for Winona. Or excuse me, on the offensive side for Minnesota State, Ikawa, 7 for 11, 106 yards, as he finds himself with the longest of 24, and that was the pass to JT, otherwise known as Justin Taramina. As you heard that announcement there, an injured referee, so now they'll be doing the game with 1 man short. As the referee is now finally set to go. As the Mavericks will be back here next week against the top team in North Dakota, as Ikawa will scamper on the QB keeper, and it'll be 4th down and goal at the 1. And it looks like Hoffner's got to take it, and here comes the kicking unit. Arnold will hold. as this will be a chip shot, and just like an extra point, a yard closer.
For the Mavericks.
Snap, spot. Kick is up and good. Over the netting. And here we go. With 8:37 to play, Mavericks 20, Winona State 6. As that was an over 70-yard play drive, 15 plays, and took over 7 minutes of time off the clock. Something that they desperately needed. 7 minutes and 23 seconds off that clock. Ashton Gardner giving the signal. As Gardner will boot it deep. Here's Isaiah Hall. Hall will receive it at the 5. Cut up the field. Breaking some tackles. As that will be brought down by Barrington.
Hall on the return for the Warriors. Tackled on the play by number 28, Burrington.
As Burrington
Tyler Johnson.
and Tyler Johnson, as Johnson's been a special team star here this afternoon.
19 on the return, first down and 10 for the Warriors at the 23-yard line.
As here's Burke, back to pass, looking to get something started. Finds his receiver, and that's a great pass breakup by Liz. His intended receiver was Jalen Schleicher.
Broken up by number 29, Jack Leas. Incomplete, second down.
As Liz has had himself an afternoon with the tackles, the breakups in coverage. As Greg Kohler is out, and you normally just see Liz on a typical 10 and 11. As that is a drop, as he was looking the way of number 81, Connor Schultz.
81, Connor Schultz. Incomplete.
As that falls incomplete. As Knutson's late to the huddle. Mavericks look to the sideline, get the defensive play. Not much time has been ran off the clock, so I'm pretty sure when Schlittke comes back into this ballgame, it'll be a run-oriented offense. Burke receiving pressure from Robertson, flushed out, looking for his receiver, intended for number 2, Tyler Anderson. Curtis on the coverage, and that's a 4th down. And they're not gonna go for it. It probably would have been a different situation if they were further downfield. This has been not the best game Owen Burke has had, and that's a great stop by Coach Glogowski's defense. As the offense makes their way back down on the far sideline. The rugby style punt from Paul Ortiz. Parrish Morrow, Ty Shannon Brooks. We're back deep. As 39 with the bump on Tyshawn Brooks.
wants to help you get through the week, and that's why they created Wing Tuesdays with buy one, get one free for their team.
As the defensive back coach has to come out and calm down Tyshawn. As Chance Bowen is out for another game, as he's out for quite some time. Jet sweep to Justin Arnold. Arnold, as he's tripped up by number 4, Isaiah Hall. As you'll see that about once or twice a game from the Mavericks, they'll go to that jet sweep with the quick Justin Arnold. Arnold, the senior out of Chaska, Minnesota, as he's in his final season as a Maverick. As Arnold's got 2 rushes for a total of 17 yards. Hand off to Gunn as they'll continue to do the ground and pound game. Devon Moore and Isaiah Hall bring down Gunn, and that's a huge scamper and a big first down. As the clock will run.
Gain on the play and another Chaplain's Turkey, Maverick.
And Schlichty, this is where the captain responsibilities come in. That leader, making sure they pick up those first downs. Schlichty in the shotgun, Gunn to his left. Design quarterback run, led by Gunn. Schlichty will be corralled by number 42, Quentin Reed. As that's a nice gain of 8 for number 5. Is Quentin Reed has had himself one heck of a ball game too. He's racking up his fair share of tackles. Schlichty, fake handoff, option. The triple option. As Schlichty will keep it, as he was tackled by Devin Moore and Joe Perhats.
Three-yard gain on the play. And another Chaplain's Turkey, Maverick.
Here's Gunn. And that's a nice tackle by number 22, Cole Monocton. As he's been kind of quiet here in this second half.
Tackled on the play by number 22, Cole Monckton.
Let's go!
1 yard loss on the play, second down.
Here's Gunn. As there's nothing there, he'll bounce it back to the right side. As he gains 2.
Nate Gunn carries it for the Mavericks.
As they were just looking there to chew up some clock. As it will be 3rd down and about 8. As the clock will just continue to tick. They're looking to run off about 4 minutes of this game clock here for Winona State to get the ball back. As I wonder what they would do with them being at the 30-yard line. As that is a false start on the freshman, number 82, Blake Vermol. That's the 5th false start penalty for the Mavericks, as that is unlike them on the offensive side. As there has been several costly penalties to even bring them back further. And because of the penalty, the clock will stop. And not a possibility to chew up a little bit more than what they originally wanted of clock. Schlichty drops back to pass. Schlichty steps up as he receives some pressure. Shakes off a tackler. Looking downfield. Looking for Arnold and gets it just out of the reach of Moncton. As there's a flag on the play. And I think they'll decline it. There's a holding call, it looks like. As here comes Ashton Garner. And they will attempt a field goal here. This is really surprising, as we really haven't seen much of Ashton Gardner's leg. This will be a 51-yarder. As it looks like he might have the wind in his favor, but it's blowing from right to left in this direction. Arnold, blocked! Picked up by Pridgeon. As there's a flag, and that'll be coming back. As this will be an unsportsmanlike call on number 42, Quentin Reed, as he leaves the gridiron in frustration. As it's always the retaliation instead of the initial push. As the block came from, I believe it was number 30, Romario Gale, coming off that right side and stuck his big mitts right there.
Winona, number 42.
As it was a personal foul and not an unsportsmanlike conduct, so there's no warning going to Reed's name. As that play did run about 9 seconds off the clock. As here's Owen Burke trying to have some last-second hopes. Drops back to pass, steps up as he's met in the backfield and sacked by number 3, Robertson. That's his 3rd tackle for the loss, but his first sack in his 8th tackle. Robertson taking the place of Palmy, and he's done one heck of a job in my opinion. Burke, back, fumble! And they'll say it was incomplete, as it looked like number 42, Jordan Bergeron, on that breakup, as that was a huge stop. And alongside him was number 99, Braden Thomas. As they did think that they got him down back there, but it's 3rd down and 13, and possibly the final hopes for Winona State on offense. Here's Burke. Last second direction. And a freeing Braden Thomas, and brings him down by the shoelaces. Braden Thomas welcomes her. As here's another flag coming into play. Braden Thomas sacks Burke as he was untouched in the backfield, a misassignment from the right guard. Completely untouched, and then Gettle finding his way back there as well. As there will be some time that's an unsportsmanlike conduct on number 72, Joe Carlson, the sophomore from Wisconsin. A timeout by Winona, and we'll be back in 60 seconds. Welcome back. As this game looks like it's out of reach for Winona. Ty Shannon Brooks back deep. Coming up next week, the Mavericks find themselves at home against the number 8 ranked team in the nation for Division II football, and that is Minnesota Duluth. ESPN 3 will have that broadcast for you next week. So we will not be here on the NBN network. It will belong to the NCAA. As a bad punt by Ortiz ends up going out of bounds just shy of the 40 at the 38. But just like I was saying, ESPN will have that broadcast, so we will not be here. So turn your attention to ESPN 3. And next week, if you would like to come to homecoming, as that's a big football game, that kickoff will be at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. But if you do want to come to Blakesley Stadium and see this tremendous atmosphere, because over 5,000 in attendance today, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot more next week when Duluth comes to town. But what I was saying is, it'll be the 10th anniversary of the 2009 football team. So they will be honoring them at halftime next week, as it's an alumni week for football. A Sample will catch that, and it'll be thrown out of bounds by Moncton. As Sample, that's his second catch here this afternoon. Excuse me, that's his first.
MAVRIK.
As that's a Maverick first down being thrown out of bounds. That'll start the clock because he did not run out of bounds by himself. As Ikawa finds himself at the 25. Ikawa keeping himself. Moncton trying to wrap up Ikawa. Not working very well, as he was met by Pridgeon for a loss, and it looks like of about 3. And Winona State will find themselves back home next week. They'll find themselves on the road taking on Moorhead State, as they will be up in Moorhead taking on it before they find themselves back at home versus Minot. As there was a timeout prior to the snap, that'd be Winona State, as the clock is at 1:55.
Nate Dunn on the carry for the Mavericks.
And some of the storylines here, as we will not have a post-game wrap-up, so I'll do a little bit of it now due to volleyball being live streamed, and I got to make my way over there after this game is concluded. So volleyball will be playing at 4 o'clock against the number 4 ranked Minnesota Duluth women's volleyball team. That is at the Taylor Center at President Arena at 4 p.m. on Saturday, here this afternoon. Then tomorrow, make sure you make your way over to the pitch. The women's soccer team is tied for second in the nation for Division II as they take on St. Cloud as they won a double overtime thriller as Jenny Vetter scored the game-winning goal for the Mavericks to continue that perfect season. And I will tell you right now, women's sports on the campus of Minnesota State are starting to get a little bit more recognition, and the recognition is showing as there was over 250 people at last night's match versus Minnesota Duluth, excuse me, as Ikawa that was Schlichty just threw it up there, and it was an interception. And it was Kenneth Sanders, the free safety, coming up with that pick. As Schlichty and Ikawa normally take good care of the ball, but it was intended for Arnold, and it was tremendously underthrown. And I think that was more on the baiting side of number 45, Kenneth Sanders. As Burke will get one last shot. Down 14 are the Warriors from his own end zone. Will toss one up to Anderson, and just about a yard and a half overthrown. On the coverage was Paris Morrow, matching him step for step. And I think this is about time where they will start taking shots. As Hoffner is giving away his headset to the crew. 1:37 to go, 2nd and 10. Winona on the 7. Burke drops back, receives some pressure, steps up, picked by number 29, Jack Leas. And that will be the sealer. That's the 3rd pick of the game for Burke as he ties his unfortunate career high for himself. Leas picked it off at the 21-yard line, and it was a run back of 10. It'll be 1st down and 10 as they do, in fact, take victory formation as Hoffner will conclude matters here. Ikawa will do the duties. As this one wraps up, Minnesota State will improve to 4-0. Winona State will fall to 2-2. As this game was everything we expected. The jawing was uncanny. A lot of penalties, some sloppy play, a lot of chirping, a lot of pushing and shoving, but everything you expect out of a Winona State, Minnesota State football game. As they will just stand around as of right now, trying to get as much time off the clock as Minnesota State's defense came up big. Their defense has allowed 9 points in the last 2 ball games. And on top of that, 16 in the last 3, allowing 1 touchdown. And that came against Augustana. As that will conclude matters in this one. Minnesota State will take this one by a final score of 20-6. And this was a great game here for Minnesota State. The big storyline was the limitation of number 23. Devon Moore, Gomez, and others held number 23 at bay. And they did one heck of a job at that. The offensive line, a lot of false starts, a lot of penalties. And it was a little bit of a touch and go there, but no doubt about it was this one intact. But Minnesota State jumped out to a quick 14-0 lead in the first quarter. All respect going around from both teams. If you're Todd Hoffner, you gotta like the way you played, even in this close one. And now it's on to next week. Now you can officially say that it's on to Duluth, the game that everybody has circled on the calendar here in Mankato. We wish nothing but the best for Winona State here moving forward. But Minnesota State, toughest test they will receive all season until the playoffs, hopefully. And it's number 8, Minnesota Duluth versus number 3, your Minnesota State Mavericks. And that game, may I remind you, will be on ESPN3. We will not have this game on the broadcast on the NBN network, so tune in your laptops, your TVs, whatever you may got, hook up them HDMIs to your laptop and watch this game as ESPN will be back on campus of Minnesota State. The final score, Minnesota State 20, Winona State 6. Thank you for tuning in to another broadcast of MAVRIK football here on the NBN network. Tune back in about a half an hour as Minnesota State women's volleyball takes on number 4, Minnesota Duluth. And I'm Brian Kelly, alongside every one of my partners who helped set this up. We thank you, the technical side, and have a pleasant afternoon.